In week 4, the DC Defenders lost 25-0 to the Tampa Bay Vipers. And all of the focus needs to go on the DC Defenders quarterback, Cardale Jones. 2 weeks in a row now, he's looked really, really bad. And it's alarming. It's weird to me because, in week 4, he was missing people who were wide open downfield. He had multiple opportunities to hit people who were wide open deep, and Cardale Jones simply missed the throw. He's double clutching short passes, which means he doesn't trust his own decision making. He'll have a 5-yard hitch open, and he doesn't pull the trigger, and then he double clutches and throws it in the dirt, or double clutches, and by the time he finally throws it, he's late. He's really, really having a hard time trusting himself, trusting his offense. It's hard to watch. It really is. It's very disappointing. He was 9 for 22 passing last week for only 72 yards, 0 touchdowns, had 1 interception, an ugly interception. And again, everything I see points to the conclusion that Cardale Jones is really, really struggling with confidence. He's in his own head. I mean, this past week, for example, DC was playing Tampa, and Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator, Jerry Glanville, is known. He's a legendary defensive coordinator. He's legendary for one thing. If there's one thing he's known for, it's the fact that he loves to blitz. And a blitz is when you send extra defenders after the quarterback. You bring pressure constantly. That is what Jerry Glanville does. And he does it. He's not ashamed at all. He just sends pressure after pressure. And what's interesting is when you bring more defenders at a quarterback, the reality is that it actually leaves people open downfield because there are fewer defenders to play coverage. Whether it becomes man coverage and you can beat your man, or literally sometimes, even when Jerry Glanville does it, he'll bring 7 rushers, which leaves 4 people to drop into coverage, meaning sometimes guys are completely uncovered. But Cardale Jones was not able to handle the blitz at all. Again, it's a simple math equation. The more people you bring to blitz the quarterback, the fewer guys there are in coverage. It usually allows guys to be wide open. All Cardale Jones needs to do is remain calm, stay in the pocket, and understand that being blitzed is actually a really, really good thing. Again, it means that people are open, but he seems completely unable to recognize that or make that happen. He cannot calmly dissect the defense and get the ball out in the right spot. Instead, he tries to run away, or he holds onto the ball way too long, or he double clutches things. He doesn't trust it. Cardale Jones is a mess right now. He's playing quarterback awfully. He's playing the quarterback position really, really terribly, and it's disappointing. It's hard to watch. And you could make the argument that, why is Cardale Jones struggling so much? Is it coaching? And if you want to, you could make the argument, hey, maybe the reason why Cardale Jones is having such a hard time, for example, why was he not prepared to deal with the blitz of the Tampa Bay Vipers? That's a fair argument, but I don't think that's the case here because Cardale Jones wasn't doing anything he was coached to do, let alone handling a blitz. He's not doing anything right. Again, he's throwing 5-yard hitches into the ground. He's double clutching throws that are open. He's making terrible reads. He's forcing balls into coverage. He's literally throwing the ball up for grabs in the middle of the field. Nothing Cardale Jones has been coached to do is what he's doing. I think, honestly, he's panicking or he's having some kind of emotional distress. Something's going wrong with Cardale Jones where he really doesn't trust himself, and he's trying to just make things happen. It's very bizarre. It's very weird, and I really believe it's all in his head. Because you can give Cardale Jones all the tools, you can coach him up, say all the right stuff, but if at the end of the day, Cardale Jones doesn't trust the coaching he's been given, it doesn't matter. I think Pep Hamilton, the head coach in DC, is a great coach. He's a good communicator. I'm a big fan of his. And right now, the biggest problem in DC is their quarterback. It's his body language. It's his attitude. Something is wrong with Cardale Jones. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if his dog died. I don't know what happened. I think, again, a lot of it's just in his head mentally. But Cardale Jones is really, really fallen off the deep end the last 2 weeks. And it's not hopeless, but it's definitely a really, really challenging task for Pep Hamilton. I mean, Pep Hamilton is going to be tested in the next couple weeks as a head coach. He's calling great plays. He's doing the right stuff, but his quarterback cannot execute the plays that are called. If you can make a great play call, you can have everything right, but if your quarterback doesn't execute the play, it doesn't matter. And what's sad is, again, Cardale Jones in the first 2 weeks of the season was executing things right. So a flip got switched. I don't know if it was because he threw 4 interceptions last week and just doesn't trust himself at all anymore. But again, this is not about football. It's not about X's and O's with Cardale Jones. The question is, can Pep Hamilton connect with his quarterback Cardale Jones on a personal level in week 5? Can he help his quarterback get on the right path? This week the DC Defenders play the St. Louis Battlehawks. That's going to be a really tough task. The St. Louis Battlehawks they're arguably, it's hard to tell. We're 4 weeks in now. DC, I thought, was the best team in the league, but the last 2 weeks has been awful because of their quarterback play. I like Houston a lot. I think actually St. Louis is better. St. Louis's quarterback gets better and better and better, and their running game is great. Their defense is great. I think St. Louis is probably the best team in the league, despite the fact that they're 3-1, while the Houston Roughnecks are 4-0. I think DC's in big trouble. They could get their butts smacked this weekend against the St. Louis Battlehawks. And this is a really big fork in the road, a gigantic moment in the history of Cardale Jones, in the history of Pep Hamilton, in the history of the DC Defenders. How do they respond to either last week, do they play well in week 5 against the St. Louis Battlehawks? And then if they get crushed or lose badly to the St. Louis Battlehawks, how will they respond to that? Again, all the problems in my mind, what I see is that the issues are in Cardale Jones' mind. He needs to get out of his own head, go back to what his coaching has told him, trust himself, believe in himself, have more confidence. And if he does that, DC will be fine. But DC is only as good as their quarterback. If Cardale Jones remains a mess, so too will the DC Defenders. They will continue to slide farther and farther down the standings.